Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. It's Paulie Esther here, and today Dead by Daylight gave us some statistics to chew on here with this tweet. Take a peek at what's trending with the 7.1 update. Here are the 10 most popular perks for each role and how often they are used. So this is data that was compiled between April the 27th and August the 5th, and they list the top 10 killer perks and the top 10 survivor perks. King had some follow-up questions here. Are there any planned changes to the top used perks on both sides, as well as the perks that are rarely used? Not necessarily. Pick rates aren't everything. We also need to consider why these perks are used as much as they are and how powerful they may or may not be. Data is just one factor to consider. Feedback and design intention are equally important. And then Taco Empire Wrestling says, so basically they're picking what perks are getting nerfs or buffed next. Got it. A lot of things can affect usage rates. It does not always mean a perk needs to be changed. Before we change something, we consider community feedback, design, intention, and data. So if we get into these here, the top 10 killer perks are Jolt. Now, I'm assuming that the upward chevrons mean that the pick rate has increased since the last time they showed us dates. Downward red chevron is it has increased, and the dashes mean it's pretty much flat. That's what I'm guessing. I don't know. So number one perk at 22% is Jolt. Number two is Sloppy Butcher. Makes a lot of sense with those healing changes that you want to oppress survivors even more, make them waste more time with the healing. That's 18%. Number three coming in at 16% is Scourge Hook Pain Resonance. Number four, upwards at 15% is Pop Goes the Weasel. Pretty even. Number five is Barbecue and Chili. A lot of people are surprised at that because it doesn't give you those bonus blood points that it used to, but a lot of people really feel comfortable getting that aura information there. Another one that gives you the aura information in spot number 6 is Lethal Pursuer, where you can see people's auras at the beginning of the game. It's basically like a Barbecue and Chili right at the start of the game here. And people want to really get the game rolling and find a survivor quickly because, you know, this game runs on the currency of time. So the longer it takes you to find a survivor, the more you're playing catch up. So being able to spot survivors quickly is very important. I'm not surprised that that perk runs at on spot 6. I'm also surprised at Distortion doesn't make it into the top survivor perks because you see so many killers who are using Lethal Pursuer. That's 14% right there, 14% for Barbecue and Chili. They're getting this aura information from you. Distortion blocks those aura readings, and I think that it's a very underrated perk. It also helps you determine what perks the killer may be running when you're losing Distortion tokens. You can think, now, why am I losing that? If you lose a Distortion token right at the beginning of the game, you know they're running Lethal Pursuer. So I think Distortion is very underrated, but we're getting a little off topic here. Number 7 is Corrupt Intervention to cut off those 3 gens at the beginning of the game to help slow down survivors and get the game started. Number 8, also at 12%, is Nowhere to Hide, another aura information perk. When you kick the generator, you can see where the survivors are around you. Number 9 has slipped a bit down to 11%, and that's Save the Best for Last. And number 10, also at 11%, is good old Hex Noed. Now, for the survivor side, top 10 perks, we have number 1, Windows of Opportunity. I'm not surprised at this. You know what? I slept on Windows of Opportunity. I never really gave it a chance because I didn't like it when it had that cooldown. Now that it has no cooldown, it's very instrumental in choosing your pathing, where you're going to go when you're running from a killer. It also gives you some information when you can see pallets go down near you. You know where the action is around you. I think it is a very useful perk now. They've changed my mind on this, and I have put it into my build. 29%. It's head and shoulders above the rest here, right? Number 2 is Adrenaline at 22%. Number 3 is Resilience, up a little bit at 19%. Number 4 is Lithe. That one has slipped down a little bit to 17%. Number 5 is Self-Care at 13%. Some people feel like that's the killer's 5th perk. People wasting time on the self-care with these long healing times. I'll let you debate whether or not that is true, but it's a very popular perk. I can see why people use it if they feel like they can't rely on their teammates. The best helping hand is the one at the end of your own arm, right? So it's nice to have that fail-safe that you can heal yourself. Arguably, I think that, pushing gens is more effective, but again, that's debatable. Number 6 slipped down to 13% is Sprint Burst. That's one that's also in my kit currently. Number 7, we have Prove Thyself, which has also slipped down to 11%. Number 8, flat at 10%, is Dead Hard. That used to be the number 1 perk for a while, right? Before they changed it. That was number 1, wasn't it? Number 9 is Bond, so you can see where your fellow survivors are. And number 10 is Spine Chill, all the way down to 6%. So we have quite a vast difference here from 29% pick rate down to 6. There's nothing else that is 6% or more for that 10 slot. And also, since Spine Chill has now recently been changed, I would wonder what the pick rate is in August compared to what it was in April, because it's much less valuable, in my opinion. All right, so those are the top 10 stats for both sides. And my friend Bridget is always making sure that I don't miss the important things on the forums to take a deeper dive into this. And thank you for this, Bridget. We're going to look at this. So here's the article where Mandy talks about the stats and why they were presented. Stats, did someone say stats? This is Mandy here. We know that you love data as much as we do, and it's always something that raises a lot of discussion. We're sharing with you some of the top used perks on both sides. This is across all MMR ranges and across all regions. And remember, some regions can play in a different way, and therefore there might be perks that you personally don't see in your games, but we can assure you they are used. I have seen them say before, like over in Japan, they play a different style. Perhaps they use more self-care. I'm not entirely sure, but I have seen those kind of remarks before. With saying that, here we go. So that's where they provide those images that we saw there on Twitter, and they go through and say, in order, they are Jolt, Sloppy Butcher, Scourge Hook, Pain Resonance, Pop Goes the Weasel, Barbecue and Chili, Lethal Pursuer, Corrupt Intervention, Nowhere to Hide, Save the Best for Last, and No-Ed. And for Survivor, again, Windows of Opportunity, Adrenaline, Resilience, Lithe, Self-Care, Sprint Burst, Prove Thyself, Dead Hard, Bond, and Spine Chill. This is something we'd like to do on a regular basis going forward, so you can definitely expect to see more of these on a regular basis. Here. I like this transparency, communicating with the community about this kind of stuff so we know what they're looking at, what kind of, what the rest of the community is doing. We know this is going to start a lot of discussion, and as ever, your feedback around these perks are invaluable, the Dead by Daylight team. So a couple of comments that we had on here that Bridget recommended that I go over. Zernaton asks, thank you for clarifying that. And if you don't mind me asking, can we get an update on kill rates as well? And Peanuts answers, we could definitely look into getting some updated kill rates sometime. I personally would like to see that. I'd like to see, where the rates are on these killers, because we know that Wesker was head and shoulders above the rest a few months ago. Has that changed? Is it the same? I really would like to know. I don't think they would be shared as regularly as these perk stats, however, since larger killer updates tend to take quite a bit longer than perk tweaks, so it's unlikely that they'll change much from one update to the next. Got it. Wesker is still top of the pops. All right. I read between the lines on that one. Okay, let's see. I really appreciate this, but this is Phantom asks, but will this also be done for the add-ons and their usage? Because I can imagine that being transparent like this about the top 10 used perks in an X amount of time with the last perk overhauls in mind, it might be safe to assume that there will be more perk meta changes coming in the future. But how about add-ons, especially given that some, like Blights and Nurses, have been left to catch dust for a long time? And Peanuts answers, for add-ons, not likely, for a few reasons. Number one, the data wouldn't be interesting or useful, whereas perks have a roughly equal chance of being obtained, barring DLC shrine requirements. Add-ons have different chances to appear depending on their rarities. The top 10 would be full of low rarity, but somewhat helpful add-ons that provide small improvements to your power. Interesting. Number two, killer popularity would heavily sway those stats. A somewhat popular add-on for the most popular killer could easily outrank a very popular add-on for lesser played killer. Oh, I see. So Peanuts thinks that we're asking to see the top add-ons all amalgamated amongst all the killers. I think what Phantom is talking about is perhaps what the most used add-ons would be for each killer, but I could be wrong here. Number 3, add-ons are unique to each killer, so directly comparing them to one another in a single top 10 doesn't do much good. Yeah, I don't think that's what we want to see. I think we'd just like to see what are the top 3 add-ons for each killer, perhaps. Meanwhile, separate top 10s for each killer is also out of the question. Aha! When there's currently 32 killers and counting, I sadly do not have enough time in the day to prepare all those stats. Well, shucky darn. But even if we did, going back to the first point, you would almost always see that the lower rarity add-ons are used more purely because they're easiest to get. That's very interesting. I would not have thought that that was the case. I would have thought that you would see, the more powerful ones as top used. But I guess across the entire community, we have a lot of players who maybe don't have as many add-ons to choose from in their pool, that skews those numbers. They may not be the most powerful add-ons, but they're the most used. I see what Peanuts is getting at here. I'm always down for more transparency, but it's not really worth the time it takes to gather all that data just to reveal the common things are common. All right, well, fair enough. Okay, so that's your glimpse here at the stats, and I do appreciate that they have provided these, and I definitely want to see more of this in the future. I find it quite interesting to see what's going on in the community. And I'm just going to throw this out there. Let's just start a distortion revolution, everybody. Give it a try. Give that distortion a try and see how you fare. Especially if you find that you are one of the people who is found first by the killer. It could be because it's Lethal Pursuer, and you may enjoy that distortion a little bit to keep the killer from just going straight to you when the game begins, because they're running that Lethal Pursuer at 14%. But let me know what you think about these statistics here. What do you use out of what these top perk pick builds would be? Or which ones of these are in your build? Let me know what you favor, what you think is an underrated perk that should make it into somebody's build that didn't make it in the top 10. What do you think deserves perhaps this number 10 spot instead of Spine Chill or higher? For me, it would definitely be Distortion. And same thing on the killer side. What do you think is an underrated killer perk that isn't used very often that should get some people's attention to use? I'm very curious to hear what you all think about all that. But anyway, that's all I have for you today. Thank you very much for watching as always. I appreciate the time you spend here with me on my channel. Don't forget to like, comment, let me know about what you think about these perks in the comments below, and subscribe. It helps the channel out a ton. And don't forget to take care of each other in and out of the fog, and we'll see you next time. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye. It's a Gen Rush life for us. It's a Gen Rush life for us. Set a hiding, we do gens. Set a randoms, we got friends. It's a Gen Rush life.